It's Jimmy D here. How are you doing? This is the Florida Talk Real Estate Show. If anybody saw this on YouTube and Facebook, they'd be laughing. I forgot that. I forgot to turn it on live, and I also forgot to put my microphone in front of my face. That would help. Microphone and radio. I get it now. I get it. It's only been almost 13 years. Florida Talk Real Estate. I've been doing this almost 13 years, and I still haven't learned this. Things real estate, whether you refis, homeowners insurance, Mike. If you have probate questions, title questions, foreclosure, bankruptcy defense, student loan help, that's what Florida Talk Real Estate has been about for the last 13 years. We've been doing this on the show, and Mike has been here for a big part of it. This is Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. I was trying to think, how many years have I been the mortgage pro?
Were you 2015 or 2016? I want to say 2015.
You know, I don't know. I don't have a good memory for stuff like that. I want to say 2016, so it's like 7 years, but it could be 8. Could be 8 years. You remember, Timothy? No. Yeah. Ah. I remember that too. I actually use that as a milestone. So a lot of times when I'm doing like what I call a pre-qualification interview and I'm gathering information, I'll say things like, "How long have you worked at your current job?" And people are oftentimes not sure. So I don't know, 7, 8 years. Yeah, they don't remember the year. You remember what month? Okay. Yeah. And so some people know that, and some people don't. And I have to try to prompt them because when you're filling out an application, you need, essentially a month. A month is good enough. Month and year. And so I try to prompt them. I'll say things. Maybe was it summertime? I'll get the year first. 7 years ago. Okay, so we're talking about 2016. Remember what month it was, or maybe around your birthday, maybe, right? Stuff like that. But also I use March 2020 as I was like, March 2020 is when we went on lockdown. So I'll never forget that. March 2020 is we went on lockdown for COVID, pretty much nationwide, right? It was the beginning of that.
We're going to talk about March 2020 today, Mike. When we talk about stats and mortgages and stuff, that's in sales. We're going to talk about March 2020.
Nice. Yeah. It's so funny, Jim. We were sitting here chatting like normal before the show. And I feel bad now because I probably should have given you a few minutes to think about the intro. Think about like when Jimmy gives you the finger, the go sign. You should have had it all lined up in your head.
I'm kind of enjoying today. It's been a very, very hectic last couple of weeks. So today, all I'm trying to do is just relax and get through the day. Unfortunately, Johnny couldn't make it today. I hope, Johnny, you feel better. And Ross couldn't make it today because he had personal obligations. Mike, thanks for holding the fort together, because I don't think me sitting here talking for 2 hours would be very good at all. I don't think that would be good radio. So thank you so much for being here. And we have really good stuff to talk about today, Mike.
Yes, and I haven't been on in a few weeks. We got preempted by the Gators. Right. And then the week before that, I was kind of the no-show on that week. Remember, something happened. I slept in, I overslept, got up too late.
I forgot about the no-show, which is so unusual for you. So so it has been a couple of weeks and a lot of things happened. Oh, we were making fun of you the week that you didn't show because the interest rates got so high. We figured you were just hiding.
I can't talk about it.
He's like, I don't want to come to work today.
and now we got a little relief. Jimmy calls me this morning. He's like, "Hey, it's just you and me. You want to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's talk about interest rates. Let's go."
Exactly. Which actually is some good news. So what we're going to accomplish today is we are going to talk about buyers, because there's a huge amount of things that we need to deal with on buyers, because I feel like a lot of buyers are making mistakes right now as far as setting themselves up for being successful when they do buy. The other thing we're going to talk about is what all the economists are saying is going to happen next year as far as interest rates and
Okay, sorry
And
about
then
that.
there you go. That should take care of it.
Okay, thanks, Mom. Love you. My mom's the one that told me you can't hear us.
Not just start over.
Yeah, no, we're not starting over. Hey, Facebook crowd, sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. Yes, Jimmy D is sitting in the big chair today, not Johnny C. So now you know why we have chaos and mayhem here at Florida Talk Real Estate today. Sophia, you are seeing which property are you going out to today? You're going to the property in Aberdeen, right? Correct?
Yes, I am. So my open house today is going to be located at 7823 Rockford Road in Boynton Beach. It's located in a beautiful community. It's called Brittany Lake. So that is in Aberdeen Golf and Country Club.
And what makes?
So,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sophia. Go ahead.
oh no, that's okay. So I was just going to say that I will be there from 11 to 2 p.m.
Okay, now Sophia, how are they going to get through the gate? Do you know how they're going to get through the gate to get into the community?
Yes. So when you come in, they do have to give the name of the owner and his address. So the name would be George Logan. And the address again is 7823 Rockford Road in Boynton Beach.
Yes. Now, this is a beautiful 2-2 villa on the lake in Brittany Lakes in Aberdeen. Aberdeen is a full membership equity community. They have multiple restaurants, multiple pools, I think 2 or 3 golf courses, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like 6 restaurants too. They have every kind of activity known to mankind over there. It's really a great community over there. This is a 2-2 villa. It's just a little under 2,000 square feet under air, about 25 under roof. And like I said, it has gorgeous lake views. As soon as you walk in the door, what you see is expansive windows and the lake. So if you're looking for that kind of place, this is it. Also, the house, what I like about this house is that they updated the kitchen and the bathrooms recently, so they're in really great condition and nicely updated. And they also enclosed the screen patio and turned it into air conditioned space, so it's almost like a sunroom now. And then they have a nice paver brick patio with lots of potted plants in the backyard that overlook the lake.
Is it a condo?
It's a villa.
What makes it a villa? Just is that a single story townhome style?
It's a single story townhome, so it's attached. It's 2 homes that are attached. They each have a garage, right? It's CBS construction, built in 1994.
Cool.
And the HOA here is about $583 a month, but there is a minimum mandatory membership equity. So in membership equity communities, you have to buy in to pay for all the services that are being offered for the community. You can't just move there and just say, I don't want to be involved, because it won't support all the services. So in this community, the minimum social membership equity minimum is I'm sorry, hold on. I should have my glasses on. $65,500. So when you buy the house, you have to bring another $65,000 to the table to give for the social membership equity.
Yep.
Now, some of that gets returned to you. Some or all of it will get returned to you when you sell, as long as the new people pay the membership equity.
Yeah, it's actually a really good example of buyers who are out there like doing their own window shopping on the various sites, and then they see prices for these beautiful homes that are lower than anything else, and they're like, "Oh, why aren't we looking at that?" Jim, I'm on your email, drip or your campaign or whatever. Why aren't you sending me these beautiful properties that are in my price range?
I've actually had one person a few years ago call me up and yell at me.
Yeah.
Why aren't you showing me these properties?
That's right.
And the neighborhoods were like Beaucaire, Del Air, right?
Yeah.
That's what the name of these communities were. And I'm like, well, do you have $75,000 to pay for the membership equity on top of the purchase of the house? And they're like, oh.
Yeah.
I go, we block out in our searches, we block out on the MLS, no membership equity if you don't want that. If you want membership equity, we search for it.
Yeah.
So, but Sophia, so tell me, you're going to be there from 11 to 2. And what were the things that you liked about the property when you saw it?
So personally, I loved that from the enclosed lanai, you can walk out onto the patio and you have this gorgeous view of the lake. I think it's very serene and peaceful, and just overall the layout of the home as well is just beautiful, nice and open. There's bright lights, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention that this place also has a den. which is really nice. So it's a
Yeah.
2-2 plus a den. The den could be converted into a third bedroom. I guess some of the people in the community have done that. But I like the way that this is open, and for people that want that office space, this is a perfect
Mm.
situation for them. And the living room, I'm sorry, the dining room is pretty big size. I think you could easily fit 8 people in that the dining room area for that, and the countertop space in the kitchen. Oh my gosh, it feels like the countertop space goes forever, and there's plenty of places to sit for like a snack
Really does.
bar. Yeah, yeah. So, Sophia, and how do you pronounce your last name, Sophia? I'm sorry.
Rosier.
Rosier, that's what I thought. So she's in her office at Keller Williams, and I'm really looking forward to her coming out today from 11 to 2. Are you going to be able to put any signs like in the front of the community to direct people over to 7823
Yes,
Rockford Road?
right. I'm gonna put them right outside the community, so they'll be able to see where they turn in.
Good, good, good. And don't forget anybody that's trying to get in, it's George Logan is who you're going to, 7823 Rockford Road. I'm sorry I'm giving out personal information, but that's how you're going to get through the gate.
right.
It might be a good idea to write George's name on the sign or something, on a piece of tape or
Yeah,
something, just so that they know who to ask for when they're going in.
right. Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Hey, do me a favor, Sophia.
Yeah,
Sell that house.
I definitely will. It definitely will sell. It's gorgeous
Awesome.
property.
Awesome, awesome. I hope you have an awesome day. Get lots of
Thank
customers.
you so much.
Okay.
I'm all about location too. Something that
Mhm.
we've been going on
Uh-huh.
personally for mine. I looked up and saw where this is at. Very close to the turnpike.
Oh,
Very close access. Yet you're a distance away from it, so you don't get the noise from it. But pretty close to Boynton Beach Boulevard there. Boom, right onto the turnpike.
yeah, and they have so many different communities in there. There are a couple places that have non-membership equity communities in Aberdeen. I just sold one last month. I just sold one of those villas last month where there was no membership equity. And the interesting part, the membership equity house and the non-membership equity house, there's only a $25,000 difference between the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet.
So
What was the address one more time?
7823 Rockford Road, Rockford Road in Boynton Beach.
Mhm.
And George Logan, 11 to 2.
Yeah.
Go
So
see Sophia. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. Can we put Marvin on the phone?
absolutely, Marvin. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's
Hey.
it going?
Hey, Marvin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
Good, good. Marvin is another Keller Williams Innovations agent in our office, where I'm on the leadership council for Keller Williams Innovations in Boynton Beach. And Marvin today is going to be doing open house at one of my favorite houses for the year this year, which is 1753 West Terrace Drive in Lake Worth. Actually, this community is a kind of a blending of Lake Worth and Lake Clark Shores, if people know of Lake Clark Shores. I actually thought this house was in Lake Clark Shores when I took the listing and realized that the official city is called Lake Worth Beach, but it's a beautiful home. Can you tell us a little bit about it, Marvin?
Oh yeah, of course. So we got 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and it's pretty big at just over 2,300 square feet. You have a nice backyard, and then you also have a dock in the back, and you have a nice elevator that can hold a 6,000 pound, 30-foot boat. Just a really, really nice place. And also, what I like the most is that you have this huge circular driveway in the front that just gives you a lot of space and a lot of privacy.
Mm-hmm.
A nice, yeah. You're really. It's kind of hard to see in the pictures, but once you actually turn into there, you'll see a big bush that's kind of covering you from the front road,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll feel the privacy there.
Yeah, it's a really nice home. They also have the seawall. This is on Lake Clark of Lake Clark Shores, and they just put in the new seawall and the boat lift, which are really, really big upgrades. And the seawalls, there's a lot of people in that community that have to redo them, so there's an expense that's taken care of for you. The unit's in great condition. It was recently upgraded. When I say recently, probably within the last 10 years or so, where they put in a new kitchen and new flooring, and the bathrooms have been upgraded, and it's a really, really nice home, 4 bedroom, 2 bath. And it is very price competitive in this neighborhood at 850. And one of the other things that's really nice, not only do you put your boat in the backyard on your lift, but it has a circular driveway. And right now they have an RV in their driveway, which is really nice to have to bring extra toys. So if you got the jet ski or something like that, you want to leave it in the driveway, you can in this community.
Is that a no HOA community?
It's a no HOA community, which
Yeah.
is really nice.
Very desirable, Lake Clark Shores.
Yes, and the other thing I really like about it, it has a galley kitchen, but it's so open on 3 of the sides that it feels like more of an open floor plan, and, it is turnkey ready. You buy the house, you move in. You really don't have to do anything to the house, and it has a real Florida vibe to the house. Lots of sunlight
Mhm.
coming in. Um, the paint job on the inside is like seafoam green and things like that. Just really pretty colors and in excellent condition. So Marvin, what time are you going to be there at the open house?
Same time from 11 to 2.
11 to 2 o'clock, 1753 West Terrace Drive. Both these houses are on our Facebook page. If you go to Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook, you'll find out the information on these properties. Go out and say hello to Sophia and Marvin. And even if these aren't your houses, just stop by and say hello if you feel like it and tell them what you're looking for. And both of them can help you find properties. And we can get you over to Mike Rao to do the mortgages for those properties. Right, Mike?
Absolutely. I
Yes.
was going to say, you could even go to both. I mean, they're probably what, a half hour apart driving?
Not
Maybe a little
maybe
more.
30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Yeah, only because Rockford Road's a little west and West Terrace is a little east. That's the only reason why it would be so far apart. So do me a favor, Marvin. Sell that house.
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Awesome.
It's
We-
funny. The agents, they've never heard sell that house
That's it.
before.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very,
it on
it's
live.
very, it's jarring.
I know,
we
I
know
like
what it. Is. Yeah.
I'm setting them up for it. It's kind of fun.
Do it.
If anybody has questions today about real estate, today is the day to call. You can get great questions about mortgages and refis with Mike. You can get great information about what the market's like with me as far as trying to buy or sell or thinking about investing. Do you think the market's going to crash? Do you think the market's going to continue its juggernaut forward? We'd love to hear your opinions on that. So give us a call. Let me see. I want to do some shout outs right now, Mike, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I also want to mention one other property we have for sale right now. We have like 8 or 9 properties coming on the market very soon. So keep in touch on our Facebook pages to see what's coming out.
Could someone call you directly to get the inside scoop on that, or do they have to wait?
No, they could call if they want, and they can even go to our website, Florida Talk Real Estate, and hit the make chat with Jim and make an appointment to actually give me a call and talk about whatever you want to talk about. You could do up to a half-hour appointment just by doing the calendar appointment.
Yeah, it might be the lost art of like making sure you're first in line is like calling busy listing agents and asking them what they got coming up.
Yeah, that's a really great way to do it. And you don't know how many people I'm talking to right now, Mike, that say that they're very interested in buying, but then you hear, yeah, I've been looking for 18 months. I've
Yeah.
been looking for a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're looking for a year, you're not doing it right.
Not this year. Not
You're
this
not
year.
doing it right.
If you've been an active buyer for 2 years, you really have missed out on something.
Yeah, you missed out on so much, and you're
Very
not
true.
doing it right. You're just not doing it right.
Yeah.
So, you got to get a pro when you want. In this market, it's very tough, and you need a pro to be there and have your side and have your back and make sure that they're always looking out for your best interest. So, if you're looking for that and you're looking to buy or sell, you got to give us a call. I wanted to throw out the third house that we have on the market right now. We only have 3, and I'm being real about this, but we have 9 coming up. Hopefully next week they're going to start rolling out. Everybody's trying to get their houses staged and get ready, and some people have moving obligations and all that. And we're trying to get all that lined up. But we do have another property. It's in Century Village. This house, this unit is so fixed up. It's a 1-1 in Century Village in the Southampton section. We have it at 175. And let me tell you, this would be a great unit for a senior, because this is a 55 over community, but a senior who wants to move in and really not have to worry about ever doing anything again in the house, at least for another 10 years.
Right.
Because everything in
Wow.
this house is brand new. Every single inch of this house has been touched in some way. beautiful open kitchen. They broke out the wall and broke out the kitchen with beautiful cabinets and a beautiful backsplash, recessed lighting everywhere. It has crown molding that has LED lights in the crown molding.
Oh, that's cool.
I know,
love
which
seeing
is
that, yeah.
really cool. Yeah, it's really kind of cool. And it even has a kitchen island, which I've never seen a Century Village unit with a kitchen island before. And new AC, new stainless steel appliance package, new flooring, new paint, even the electrical switches, every plug and switch you're going to touch and switch plate, brand new everything, brand new baseboards. I think the only thing they didn't touch was the windows and the sliding glass door. And this is at nicely priced at 175. Some of these units can go all the way up into the twos. We have it at 175. So if you're looking for something on a budget and you need something that's turnkey, this would be a really great opportunity.
Is that a condo community or is it a mixture?
Oh, no, it's condo, straight up condo community
Yeah.
only. And with this condo community, there's a master association, but there's many, many sub associations. So almost like every building is their own association.
Yeah.
And this community is gigantic. I bet you there's over 4,000 units in this community for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's always stuff going on in this community. Like I said, I sold something similar to this in Sunrise Lakes recently, and there were 50 something units for sale, and there's 50 something units for sale over here. So it is pick your color, pick your price. But if you're looking for the fixed up one, this is it.
Century, you said?
Century Village in West Palm Beach, 457 Southampton C.
I'll just remind the buyers out there and even the buyer's agents listening to us, that when you're buying in a condo community and you're doing financing, you really need somebody who knows what they're doing. Make sure you know what kind of down payments are required. Make sure you know what if you can do it with a conventional loan or not. So just make sure you're talking to somebody who knows, who's talking to you about that stuff. Jim, if you got buyers who are looking at 55 plus condos or membership equities, and you and I aren't talking about that, like you don't have a
Right.
relationship with your lender and you're not talking about that stuff, it's a recipe for trouble.
Is it because the first thing pop in your head is that if they're paying for the membership equity, they might not have enough cash reserves?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
To buy, like they could pay for it, but then they don't have enough reserves for the
Yeah.
lending.
And membership equity also has typically higher annual
Mhm.
dues as well. So I know you have the HOA.
Yes.
Sometimes there's stuff on top of that,
There is.
like mandatory restaurant
Mhm.
dues, things like that you have to consider. But essentially, when it's that, it's about money. When it's condos, it's about the condo project.
We're going to
It's about
talk
the condos money.
We might get into that today. We might get into next week, but I want to get into that in detail. But I want to do a shout out a little more interesting way this time. Mike, you had a 5-star review out of 5, not out of 10.
One of many. One of many.
One of many. That's true. One of many, many. That's absolutely true. But I was thinking this would be kind of fun. Could you please read in the language it was written the review you got, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to interpret it with my gringo language and see
Okay.
with my gringo Spanglish and see if I understand what happened in this. It's on a Facebook post. If you want to see it, go to Close with Mike and like the page so you can see what's going on in Mike's world.
Yeah, let me set it up a little bit. So the there's a company that provides services for lenders, and their website is experience.com.
Mhm.
And so they do this. One of the things they do is this survey. And so after you close on a loan, they'll send out emails, and they're basically try to make it as easy as simple as possible for someone to just give you a review post closing. And so not everybody does it, but we've been doing this for a number of years. So I have 248 people have responded,
Mm-hmm.
mostly 5-star reviews. My average is 4.95
Slacker.
out of 248. And so that means I have a couple that aren't 5-star.
Right.
A few.
Right.
But so I'm pretty proud of that, actually.
Yeah, of course.
And that's not everybody doesn't respond, right? But
Mhm.
everyone who does respond, usually they're very, very happy.
Mhm.
And so this is another one. This is Frank down in Miami Gardens. You might guess what. So he did it in his native language. So you want me to read it and then you're
Yeah,
going to translate?
and the thing is, and I'm not looking at this because I want you to know.
Yeah.
that I didn't know there was an English translation underneath it. Now that I'm looking at the
Oh, is
post,
that-
because when I saw it, I didn't see an English translation. So I promise I'm not looking at the English.
you haven't read
translation.
it?
I haven't read it. I'm doing it on
Okay.
purpose because I think it'd be funny me trying to interpret it.
This is also good. I don't know how many people know this, but I do speak fluent Spanish.
Yep.
I've learned that through my life, and so I'm able to work with Spanish speaking clients. And most people are bilingual, but sometimes when it comes to business, they prefer Spanish.
I think if
If that was your
I'm
native
not,
language,
yeah, I'm not,
you know,
I'm
your
not
first language.
bilingual or multilingual, but if I were, I'd still rather do deals in English.
Yeah, if you're not like negotiating or really
Yeah.
wanting to understand the
Yeah,
process. All right,
makes
so
sense.
let me read this. This is a review from Frank. He says, "Me siento muy agradecido por su servicio, pues lo hizo genial y rapidez y la seguridad con la que pude contar con su colaboración, excelente servicio con rapidez y garantía."
Well, here's the funny part,
Did you get all
Mike.
that, Jimmy?
You know what I just learned?
Got it.
That you speak very good fluent Spanish, but
Uh-huh.
your reading is lacking.
Oh, there's a couple of words. A couple of words. I'm trying to do it like
I know you're good at I'm busting you because I
yeah,
don't speak anything.
A couple of words. I have to look at it closely. And
Yeah.
remember, my vision is going bad, Jimmy. My
Well,
advanced state.
that's my big problem. Okay.
Now, is the
Agradecida.
type in print in Spanish, or are you translating it?
No,
No,
he wrote-
it's
he
in
wrote it in
Spanish.
Spanish.
It is in
Yeah.
He wrote
Spanish,
it in
okay.
Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to do it again?
Do you want to? Okay, so this is what I think. It says, I think it says something. I have to read chunks of it and then interpret. Okay. I feel very appreciative for the service that Mike gave me. It was rapid and it, he always responded to me rapidly and gave me the right information, and he was great to collaborate with, and he gave excellent service. And I don't know what the guarantee is. What's the guarantee?
Like guarantee. Like
Oh, that's what I thought.
think-
Guarantee. I thought it was something, but he'll give you rapid service guaranteed.
I think it's more like probably the if I were translating, I would say the confidence in the information, like the
Oh,
the
yeah, that
guarantee
you
of
could
like
be
he's
like,
getting good
yeah,
information. But
which
you
I
got-
always say about
yeah,
you.
you got the gist of it.
Yeah, I
He's
got the-
basically he was happy with the service. It was easy. It was fast. He could always count on me to be available to talk about things, and so excellent service, fast and reliable.
So now you know I really didn't read it ahead of time in English. I really tried. That's one thing, Mike, I've always said about you when I talk to people about working with you, even if they're working with trying to work with somebody else that got pre-approved before we met them or something. I always say the same thing, and I can say this: we've been together now, since 2016 at least, right? And that's 7 years now. And in 7 years, you have never told me on this team, anybody on my team, that you can get a loan and not got the loan. You always get the loan. So when you have Mike being your mortgage guy or your refi guy, with the mortgage guy, it's like having the cashier's. I always say it's like having the cashier's check in your back pocket if Mike tells you you're good for the loan. I mean, you can be that confident, right?
Absolutely,
And,
100%. Not to mention the advice that you get, and free advice at that matter.
Yes, exactly. So, that's one thing that I agree about with Frank is that your information is super reliable.
Mm-hmm.
And if Mike's giving you news that you don't want to hear, like information you don't want to hear, a lot of people, I've seen them shut down emotionally and thinking, well, these other people told me, so I'm not going to listen to Mike.
Yeah.
And then they find out later that Mike was right.
Yeah, listen to Mike.
So, so if Mike is telling you news that you don't like to hear, don't beat up the messenger.
Yeah.
What you should say is, Mike, why are you telling me that? Help me understand why you're saying what you're saying.
And what do I need to do to reverse that? What do I need to do to fix those issues? And Mike will be glad to help you with that.
Yes, and we're going through such a topsy-turvy market for buyers, which we're going to get into later in the show, Mike. But we're in such a topsy-turvy market for the buyers. You really got to have somebody you can trust and somebody that's communicating with you all the time. And and it's so important in the process. Now, there was one time, Mike, where you didn't get the loan. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's the one.
It's the only one. There
It's
was
the
one
one.
time,
Yeah.
but it wasn't Mike's fault. So I just
And these are
wanted,
people we had pre-approved, and they were in contract, and we were, halfway through, and they'd paid for an appraisal, and like all these things. If we
more than
say-
halfway.
Yeah.
Can I
like,
guess? They bought a car.
They bought a car
pretty
and
close,
furniture
pretty close.
and furniture. And I'm not saying they went to Vegas.
Yeah.
And
think-
they spent all their money before they were going to close, and all their proceeds that they needed to close. And that's not Mike's control.
But it could be as simple as like, hey, I went out and got a new car payment. Okay. Well, if you didn't replace a car payment, you just got a new car payment, chances are you have really messed up your debt to income.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And probably to the point where you don't qualify.
mhm.
Right. And so if anything, Jim, like through the years on this show, it just like, it's so important. Like for us, we're in this business. It's you can lose sight of how important it is for the family that you're helping, that you're working with. And so I had that mentality before I started on the show. One of the reasons you probably, I was in the, group of people you were looking at to be the
Mhm.
mortgage professional was that type of mentality of just, you're helping people. And this show, the spirit of this show since its beginning has been, how can we give people information to help them make decisions on big events in their life, big moments in their life. And so that's what this show is about, that. And I'm about that. And just because we have a great track record for closing, it doesn't mean I'm telling people no, just because they're not like rock solid, super golden, right? Like cookie cutter, vanilla, no hair. No, I deal with sticky situations all the time. And so not only do I want to get everything up front so that I can send you out with confidence, like go out into the world and get this house. But I also, if there's a way, I'm the guy who can find the way.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So like I have always
Very
been
creative.
a problem solver, troubleshooter, creative. I know the rules. I know them inside and out. So I know how to put things together in a way that works. And I also know if there's no way. Right. Or, hey, it's not now. You got to do this. You're going to have to do something else.
You know who just popped in my head? There was a young couple that moved down here from Michigan or something, and they were buying a house, like a duplex, right? They already had it under contract or something. Scott was working it
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
And she was a nurse. She was coming down there. Her husband was a trucker, had a young family. They were buying a duplex.
Yep.
And they had a big problem with their mortgage company, and they couldn't solve it. And Mike kept going, I can do it. I can do it. And then Mike did. He closed for them. Do you know what happened with that couple? They moved back. Do you know
they
they moved
did?
back home, and they're keeping that place as an Airbnb,
I
and they're
know-
making a ton of money on it.
I know they did very well in that
Yeah.
place, to the point where they even talked to me about getting another multifamily and moving in and kind of doing the same recipe again. But no, I didn't know that they moved back.
They decided to move back north,
Okay,
but they
okay.
converted a structure in the back for a third unit. So now they're using it
Yeah.
as like a triplex for
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Wonderful.
And they're doing great. But that was a deal that was going to fall apart. That family was in big trouble. They were going to lose their deposit because they were past all the requirements, and they were hard on their contract. And then Mike came in and saved the day. And we do that a lot,
Yeah.
but it's a lot easier if you just come to us at the beginning.
It is. It is. Like I got a call this week, Jim, from
Mhm.
an agent that I work with quite often, and he trusts me. But sometimes you get buyers who are already pre-approved, and you're not moving them away from their lender. And so this one came in, and they're in contract on a condo, doing 20% down,
Uh-oh.
20% down on a condo, which right away in my mind was like,
Uh-oh.
you couldn't squeeze out the extra 5% to make it the easy way.
Mhm.
But in this case, it actually didn't matter. But they had gone through, they're in contract, got an appraisal, paid for the condo questionnaire, which on a full review is probably $300 to get the property manager to fill this thing out. And it was one of the big banks. They're denying the loan. They can't get the condo approved. So it's not the borrower getting denied, but
It's
the
the
condo
condo.
project can't get approved for
Mhm.
conventional financing. And so it comes to me, and I said, well, what's the issues? And they kind of told me, and I'm like, okay, I could see that being a problem. I can see that. But this insurance one, that one could be a showstopper regardless of your down payment. Like if they don't have the correct coverage,
Mhm.
like for example, the max deductible on a master policy is 5%. You can't do 10% deductible. It's not allowed. Fannie, Freddie don't allow it. What do I see when I see the master insurance? 10% deductible on their
Oh.
wind.
Red flag.
on their
There it
wind
is.
coverage.
Right away.
That's like a showstopper.
Mhm.
Done. Can't do
Wow.
it. You can't even go non-conforming with that issue, right? These like non-warrantable condos, you do something that's not conventional, they probably won't even touch it with the insurance like that.
Wow.
So, that's something I can look at. This insurance was available through this service. You go to EOI, Evidence of Insurance Direct, pop in, that neighborhood's on there, bring it up, boom. Within 5 minutes, I could say, hey, you got no shot.
Wow.
And so I would have, had she been my client from the start, we would have been looking at these before you're in contract. That's how we do it. I don't want you in a contract that you can't close on.
That family probably lost $1,200.
Sure. Easy.
Mhm.
Easy.
And they didn't
probably
get the
did
house.
inspections too.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
$1,500.
Inspection,
Yeah.
appraisal, then the 300 application.
Yeah.
Then you have the background check and everything. They're into it. $1,200, $1,500. Hey, we do have a call, Mike. So let's go ahead and take the call. Who is it, Jimmy?
All right, we got Bob on the line, and Bob's
Bob.
got a question. He's looking to sell his house. He's got a little issue with his roof. Bob, welcome to Florida Talk Real Estate.
How you guys doing?
Hey, good, Bob. Who doesn't have an issue with their roof nowadays?
Even if the roof is good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So old,
I
7
just
years.
spent, oh my gosh, I must have spent 15 hours dealing with a bad roof over the last 2 weeks, trying to get a deal closed for one of my buyers. We got it done. We're closing on the 15th. Thank God. 16th. I'm knocking on wood here.
Okay.
Mike's saying I'm screwing up the mic.
You knocked on Formica.
But roofs are really, really tough situation, Bob.
Does that count?
Yeah, roofs are a really tough situation. So tell me your situation with your roof and what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, basically, it has zero life left.
Okay.
It doesn't leak. It's okay, but it has no life.
Is it a shingle? Is it a shingle roof or a barrel
No,
tile? Or
it's a barrel tile.
barrel tile. So is it more than 20 years old?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
And when you
it's
say it
almost
has
30.
zero useful life, how do you know that? How did you find that out?
And an inspection.
Okay. So you had an inspector come out and they said zero
Yeah,
years useful life left. And now
Right.
you're thinking about selling it. Are you thinking of selling it because of the roof situation, or are you thinking that it was just time to sell and you have to deal with the roof now?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. I'm working with a lot of people in your situation right now, Bob. So here's a couple of things you need to know, and you might know some of this. So some of the stuff I'm telling you, if you know, I apologize, but other people that are listening might not. Okay.
Okay.
When you have a roof, it doesn't matter what type of roof, metal, cement, barrel tile, shingle. The insurance companies require what's called a useful life report on the roof. And the useful life report is not really related to the age of the roof. It's how much useful life is left in the roof. And
in the opinion of the inspector.
in the opinion of that inspector, right? So it's definitely like an appraisal. There's an art, not a science. Well, maybe there's a little science behind it, but it's mostly art.
Just say
Okay.
there's some nuance.
Yeah, nuance is a good way.
Yeah.
So what the requirements are today in Florida, that you need to have at least 5 years useful life left on your roof in order to get some type of insurance policy. Okay.
Citizen.
Citizens, right?
Okay.
And that's what happened in my last roof. So my last roof, we had 5+ useful years of life on the roof. However, the buyer wanted to get an insurance policy with a different insurance company because of their debt to income ratio. They needed to get lower coverage than Citizen would allow, but at the same time be enough to satisfy the lender. So they went shopping around and found a lender that would do it. And they told them, based on the inspection of the roof, that you have to fix some loose tiles and some cracked tiles and we'll be okay. Well, they went ahead and did all that work before closing. And then the insurance company said, we're still not insuring it because we feel that there's been too many patch jobs on this roof in the past and we don't think it's going to hold up. So then we had to negotiate the roof. Okay. And it got pretty messy, but we got it done. The buyers and sellers both had to work it out. If you do it in advance, now that I was the buyer's agent on that one, Bob. Okay. So if you deal with the roof issues in advance, you usually can save, not all the time. If you really have 0 years useful life of your roof, somebody's probably paying for that roof if you're going to sell it, most probably. But there are ways, maybe in order to save, where you're not going to pay for the whole roof, okay, and pay for partial roof, but it's on a case by case basis. And sometimes you don't know if you're going to be able to pull that off until you get your buyer. For example, Jimothy, do you mind if we talk about your house?
Well, that's what I was thinking of.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's
okay,
mine.
great.
Of course, even when I was talking to Bob off air, I was in a very similar situation. I did not have a lot of life left in the roof of my house when I was selling it not too long ago. I'll let you finish it off, but yeah, we had to address it.
And Jimmy's roof was not leaking?
No,
We didn't
not at
have
all.
any issues with the roof or anything. It was just the age of the roof.
Mhm.
And we created a plan before. I don't want to get into the whole plan, but we created a plan before we even put the house on the market to deal with the roof in case we needed to. We didn't feel that we needed to disclose anything to the roof other than in the seller disclosure saying that it was free of structural problems and free of leaks,
Mhm.
because that was the truth. We also put in, I think, the age of the roof.
Sure,
And-
absolutely, yep.
But
'cause
we didn't
knew.
have anything else in there because we didn't have to disclose anything. We told them the age of the roof, and the roof's fine. Okay, but
you're prepared for the buyer's agent to come back and say, "Hey guys, we did our inspections. This home is not insurable."
right.
Right.
And you got to be ready for that, because if you don't do it the right way, you can end up losing money. If you do it the right way, you can end up saving money. I'm not saying you're going to make money. You're not going to make money, but what you're trying to do is save as much as you can
Right.
from costs. And
Okay.
the way you do that is you have to call two types of contractors out. One of them will cost you probably like $150. The other one will be free. And you come out and you get these two reports that I'm going to ask you to get. And then based on that, then we come up with the plan based on those reports. And what I did with Jimmy's case is we kept the reports in our back pocket because we had nothing to disclose. And we were really prepared to pay for the full roof. Remember that, Jimmy?
Right. There was
In
a
our head.
time when it was like, okay, is this the time to address it? Do we need to go ahead and do that? But you were able to negotiate in my
Mhm.
particular case where we didn't need to do that.
We
and
got
it
we
worked out
had
for
to
the
give him
best.
some. We
Yeah.
had to give him some money.
Mhm.
We gave him about half of what the roof was in
Mhm.
Jimmy's case, which was way better than I was expecting. I thought we were going to pay for the roof for sure.
Right.
Right. But we were able to get away with it. Now, why? Why were we able to do that? Every buyer's different. So Jimothy had enough useful life in his roof that he could get insurance.
Yes, it was insurable.
But we also knew that it was coming around the corner
Yeah.
where the roof was gonna have to be replaced. An insurance company, whoever was gonna demand it. So, some buyers are gonna start negotiating the whole roof during the purchase because they're like, "Hey, 2 years from now, I'm gonna have to 1 year or 2 years from now, I'm gonna put on a whole new roof. So you're giving me that money now." Other buyers
Right.
might not ask for it because they're afraid of losing the deal.
Right. One
And
other thing
and
too,
I think that's what happened with your family, Jimothy. They wanted the house so much.
it was part that and part the fact that we priced it right
That's true.
accordingly, right?
Yeah.
So when
Mhm.
you first assess the house, I mean, not only do you look at the market, what is selling around us and everything in that area, right? Because that's part of
Mhm.
what you do. We took into consideration that, and we priced it based on the fact that it didn't have a new roof and it might need something to look into with that. So I mean, it was priced right from the beginning.
I actually have about, 6 or 7 houses coming on the market right now, Bob, and 3 of them, I have to deal with the roofs. So we have a system of how we do this, and that the one thing I can guarantee is that nobody gets a surprise with me when they're selling their house about the condition of their home coming back to haunt them during the inspection period. We're gonna have that taken care of up front as
Yep.
best we can. Now, if you have a structural problem in your house, your foundation's cracked and I don't know about it.
Something you can't see with the
Yeah.
naked eye.
But all the
Right,
regular
right.
stuff, all the regular normal stuff, you know, it's all easily handled and it isn't as crazy as everybody thinks, but you got to have the plan. So if you just want to find out about the plan and see what your options are, I'd love to talk to you off air. All you'd have to do is give Jimothy your number and I'll give you a call Monday. My phone's acting.
No, you sound fine.
Oh, it sounds weird in my headphones. I'm
And
sorry.
I think if I were a seller, the number I'm really interested in, Jim,
What I'm going to
is
net.
what are my proceeds?
Yeah.
And so what are my proceeds on a good day, a bad day, with the roof in this condition? What are we maybe we have to give some ground. Like what's the boundaries? Like here's the lowest we'll go, and here's what it could be on the highest.
And what we
That
do is a seller net sheet. We just did that with 2 people last week. And one of them was a for sale by owner who's now coming to us to sell the house. The house has been on the market 78 days. It's up in Port St. Lucie. Um, really nice family. The problem is that I noticed on Zillow that they only had 139 views in 78 days. I
Okay.
looked at one of my properties that was similar on Zillow, and we had something like 3,500 views in 10 days,
yeah.
right? And they didn't understand why, and it was all about our systems,
Yeah, it's the market.
right? It's all about the systems. So, Bob, you're not alone in what you're trying to deal with. There are ways to handle it. Everybody's going to have an opinion about this. You don't know how many realtors really don't know and understand how to deal with these roof issues specifically, which is such a big deal right now. But the reason why I know what I know is I'm so grateful for Mike and Ross Camarinets from Brightwing Insurance to teach me all this stuff over the years. And we just fell into problems, and then the 3 of us worked it out and solved it together over and over again, and then that's how the systems were formed. That's why I'm so confident that we'll be able to give you the right information that you need.
Well, I gave Jimothy my number and would love to have you call me. But my main question is, am I stuck with just strictly cash buyers, or can I get somebody to get a conventional loan?
You can get somebody to do a conventional. Mike, you can even do FHA with that, right? If we
Sure.
get the right. So one of the things you could do, one of the ways that we solved this problem for somebody else was that we had the seller pull the permits for the roof, okay, before closing, had the roofer lined up. And then the insurance company and the lender, and I don't know how this worked, Mike. You guys worked it out. You and Ross worked it out, but we had 30 days to put the roof on after closing.
Yeah.
The new buyers I'm talking about, Bob, had 30 days to finish the roof and everything would be fine at that point. Do you remember how that process worked?
Yeah. So I think there's some exception within, I think it's Citizens,
Mhm.
might be other insurers, but essentially they say, hey, listen, we understand the roof right now is not insurable, but as long as you have it lined up and the work's going to be done within the first 30 days, your policy will still be
And it-
active. And we just confirm that the new roof is on. Now, I don't know what the timeline is on a tile roof these days. That's something that you would be, I'm assuming you're talking to contractors and getting some idea on what it is. But the question is, can you accept any type of buyer? The question is the home insurable? Because if they're buying with financing, definitely have to have an insurance policy. And so I would want a plan in place to make sure that your buyers, Bob, it could be as simple as, hey, this inspector has a different opinion on the remaining useful life of your
that's
roof.
true.
It could be as simple as that. And
Mhm.
if you, here's an inspector who I know has this opinion, or hey, we found an insurance stream that works, and we found contractors if you wanted to swap out the roof, and that's part of our negotiations. What we have this lined up for you, Mr. or Mrs. Conventional FHA, VA, USDA borrower. Maybe not USDA,
So-
depending where he is.
right. So you solve the problem in advance.
You give them options.
Okay.
Like,
Right.
here are solutions that
Right.
these will work.
And then you look like a genius,
Yeah.
right? Then you look like the facilitator, Bob, right? So somebody who loves your house but has to deal with the roof, they're thinking, "Hey, I'm going to get a benefit in this in the long run. Let's work with this guy," right? And hopefully they have a good agent that understands the value of what you're offering, through your agency, through
Mhm.
the coaching we give you, and that the other side realizes the value. The last roof I just dealt with my buyers, um, the agent that I was working with, while they were very seasoned, they really didn't understand what was going on with that roof, and the seller did not disclose everything that I felt that they should have disclosed. That the pictures of the house look way more like there was way more work done on that 20-something-year-old roof than what was disclosed in the disclosure.
Yeah.
And they wrote in the disclosure, a few cracked tiles. Is the roof sound and structural and free of leaks and in good condition? And all they wrote was a few cracked tiles, and it was way, way more than that.
Yeah, I mean, if they come from the inspection and they say, "Hey, listen, this home is uninsurable," and you say, "Sure, it is. Here's how." I mean, that seems like a pretty good
Right.
comeback to that
And
objection.
that's what happened with us on this one.
Yeah.
The reason why the seller side didn't win, normally I think the seller side would win in that case because they can get insurance.
Yeah.
But the insurance policy with the roof as it stood,
Wouldn't have worked.
it was so
DTI wise.
high,
Yeah.
right? It was so high
Sure.
that it blew out his mortgage. So that's how it hurt. But you don't want to find that out either, Bob. So one of the other things you do, if we're messing around with this kind of scenario, we don't get lucky like we did with Jimothy, where we didn't have to really do anything other than give a small credit and move on. But if we're really dealing with the
Right.
roof, you got to make sure that everybody knows their numbers and everybody's working together. And I hate to say it this way because I don't want to sound cocky, but somebody has to be the alpha dog in that group to make
Right.
sure that everything's run correctly, right? So everybody knows everything. And that's what I ended up being.
Yeah.
You know, I end up being the alpha dog because I want to know everything. I'm very curious. So I want to know what's going on with that buyer's financing, and I want to talk to their mortgage company, and I'm going to be talking to their insurance agent if they're not going to Ross. And if I don't like what I'm hearing, I'm going back to Ross and I'm trying to find out from Ross, you know, what other options we have.
Yeah, I'm curious, Bob. What's next after you sell? What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you going to be doing after that?
I don't know. This is the main point right here. This is all my focus at the moment. So.
Oh, okay. So
I'll probably.
you'll probably, are you going to stay in the area?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will.
Okay, then this is how.
Sounds like a very similar situation.
Yeah, it
like
sounds
I was
so
in, right?
similar.
You're gonna stay in the area, but
Yeah.
you're gonna looking to upgrade or downgrade a little bit. I mean, downsize, I should say, Bob.
Yeah.
That type.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting to that age.
Oh, that's so funny. We're going to be talking about the Silver Surge, and we're going to be talking
Yeah.
about this in just a second. So,
Bob, how
Bob,
do you feel about a 2-2 condo in Century?
no, so Bob, this is what we could do without any pressure and not a high sales technique because I'm not like that, right? We sit down and this is what we do. I go to your house, I do the comps before I get there, right? So I have an idea of what's happening in your neighborhood. Then I go and meet with you. I look at the condition of the home, make sure that the comps I have are matching the condition of the home. And then we do what's called a seller net sheet, like Mike talked about, and we break down all the costs and what you would net in your pocket. But that isn't even the end plan. That is only step one, not the final step. That's just the initial step. Then knowing those numbers, what you have, then I turn to you and I say, at that same meeting, I say, okay, Bob, we're going to open up the MLS. Tell me your criteria, what you're looking to do. And then we start looking at the houses that are on the market right now or the condos or whatever, but the properties on the market that meet your needs. And we see at what price point they're at. And we start looking at that. And if you start like home shopping on the computer and I start seeing you go, wow, that's a nice home. Wow, I really like that. Oh, I'd really like to live there. Then all of a sudden it becomes clearer as to what you should do because now you're excited about your future instead of being fearful of your future and not know what's going to happen after you sell the house. And if you feel good about that, then we move forward. If you don't feel good about it, right, then at least you've explored your situation and then you feel, you know what? Maybe it's worth putting the roof on and just staying.
Sure.
You know, that's an option for you too.
Yeah.
So, but the way you know that is to actually open up and go through the whole system. The biggest problems that people have today is they read all the headlines about the high interest rates, the low inventory. It's just such, quote, a bad market in real estate. When
Right.
the reality is, it isn't really like that for people that are in the real estate market as sellers. Okay. The buyers, it is a little tougher. I'm not going to shine you on that, right? Sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
But if you have aggressive team and have a good plan and you know what you're going for and you're not just crawling around in the dark, but you have a plan, a mission, then you can get it done and get a nice smooth transaction process. We'd love to sit down and talk to you about that and see what we could do. And if anybody else is listening out there and thinking that's what I need, all you got to do is pick up the phone and give us a call, floridatalkrealestate.com.
888-973-7828.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for taking the time to call us today.
And thank you for all the valuable information that I received in the last 15 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that is awesome, and look forward to talking to you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Bob. I'll call you Monday. Okay.
You got it.
Okay,
All right.
great.
Take care. Thanks, Bob.
And
Sounds like Bob is about where I was about a year and a half ago. I want to say ballparkish, right? Not quite sure what to do. All right. So I know I got an older house. I know that there's going to be something. It's not super, super valuable, but, if marketed right, what it is. And, what do we have to deal with the roof? Do we not have to deal with the roof? What do I want to go into? And what I ended up getting is not anything what I thought of a year and a half ago.
it's so true. And there's another couple I just met with, Peggy and Carl. They're going to be selling their home in Port St. Lucie. They were referral from Muriel.
Oh,
Right?
right. Okay. Yep.
And we picked up the listing, and they're missionaries, and they're moving to Georgia. Really
Okay.
great story. Awesome couple. I'm getting tingles just saying it, right? Peggy and Carl are great. And they have a roof that's past its useful life. Maybe, we're not sure. So
Okay.
we have to do the report.
Yeah.
And then we also had a contractor go out to give a quote. We had a problem with that. And the problem we had is the contractor wanted to put on a metal roof, and they wanted that secondary water vapor barrier system, which
Right.
is not
Right.
required for code, but it's better for insurance. And he really upgraded them on the prices. Now, that would be great if they were moving into the house and they
Right.
were planning on living there, but as you're leaving, you don't want to put on a Mac Daddy roof,
Right.
right? And it just isn't value worthy.
And that was one of the things that you and I discussed about mine was the fact of, okay, so that's an option. Put a roof on. You don't have to worry about it. It's brand new, easier to sell. All right.
Mhm.
Maybe you get a little bit more money. You
Maybe.
you recoup some of the money
Mhm.
back. Right. But here's the thing. Now the new owner is stuck with whatever you chose. Even if it's down to the color, right? Maybe it's
Yeah,
not a color that
that's
they would
true.
have liked. Now they're stuck with so here, how about we give you the option? We'll work here another way. We'll try to work something out another way, and then you put on what you want.
Mhm.
It's also sometimes you want to repaint your house before you move. So it's easier to sell, right? It's a freshly paint, all right. It's a great upgrade, but maybe it's not the colors that somebody else. Just
Sure.
simple little things like that too that make a difference. It's part of the planning, and that's part of what Jim, Mike, Ross, the whole team can provide for you.
And the other thing you could do is when you get the roof quotes, you can get the different, this is what it's going to cost for shingle, this
Right.
is what it's going to cost for metal, and this is how much the secondary water vapor barrier is. And then if you're negotiating the roof and you tell them, this is the roof I'm putting on. If I'm going to put on the roof, this is the roof I'm putting on. And this is what I'm going to give you. And if you don't like it because you want a different type of roof or you want the secondary water protection barrier that's not required, but it's good to have,
Right.
then you're going to pay the extra. We're only paying for the basic roof.
Right.
Right. And that, because that's an upgrade that you've chose to do. It isn't for insurance purposes to get insurance,
Yeah.
right? Only for insurance discount.
It feels like doing like major stuff like that is doing it before you sell is probably the most expensive way to do it.
Mhm.
And doing it the opposite, which is like you're gathering this information so that you can have a response to requests from the buyers, right? And they say, hey, like you didn't disclose, we know we need a new roof, but you're not telling them that. Like you put the age of the roof, you let them deal with their inspectors, their quotes, whatever, but you also have information where you say, wait a second, no, I know it could be this, right? You might want the $50,000 roof, but here's the $25,000 roof, right? So why would I ever, I'm not going to negotiate 50,000, right? I'll
Right,
negotiate
right.
a portion of 25,000
Sure,
because that's legitimate roof. I mean, there's a comment, Jim. I don't know if you saw that. PF, not sure who that is. He says, avoid at all costs having a new roof installed prior to selling unless the contractor will transfer the warranty to the new owner. That's actually a pretty good
Oh,
tip
that's a
right
very
there.
good tip.
Will the
Thank you,
roofer
PF.
guarantee the home
Yeah.
with the transfer of ownership? Very good question.
That's a
Or
good
point.
it's a very good question, PF, but I always ask that. It's a good point to bring up. I didn't even think about bringing it up, but I do ask, you're going to transfer this over to the other person.
Yeah.
It sounds like he might be a roofer, so PF, if you are a roofer, reach out to me because we always need roofers. I got to be honest with you. I got probably like 8 or 9 roofers in my database, but they all don't have the materials at the same time. So
Mhm.
sometimes one roofer will have the tiles that we need and another roofer will not.
Yeah.
When I say we need, my seller needs. So having more people in the database is better. So please
Sure.
let us know, PF. I appreciate that. And
Or you
he's
could
a
start
regular
a roofing
listener.
company. Good Jim Roofing.
I don't think so. Well, I don't know if it'd be good Jim Roofing. It might be not so Jim
It's
Roofing or
Good Jim
something.
Realty. Good Jim Roofing.
Yeah.
It'll be excellent Jim Real Estate, really bad roofer Jim.
right,
Is what it'd be.
I'll do your advertising. I'm the radio side. Get yourself covered with Good Jim Roofing.
Nice. I like that.
Hey, let's go ahead and take a break at the 10 o'clock. On the flip side, we're going to talk about mortgage rates because actually it's a good thing to talk about this time. And we're going to talk about the silver surge, which maybe Bob is going to become a part of. The silver surge. What the heck is that?
All right. Give us a call,
Sounds like-
877-927-6969. You got a question for Jim? You got a question for Mike? You can dial it up right now, 877-927-6969. We'll be right back on Real Radio.
The bad news, the brain isn't all that great at hearing stuff and remembering it. The good news, you can watch us too. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Real Radio 92.1. Real Radio weather.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with CBS 12 News. A mix of sun and clouds today with unseasonably warm temperatures as highs return to the middle 80s through this afternoon. We'll also see the chance for a stray shower, then partly cloudy, still mild for tonight, with overnight lows in the upper 60s and 70s on Sunday morning.
This report is sponsored by Fresh from Florida.
Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family, and you can help support them by enjoying delicious Fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because FloridaTalkRealEstate.com has you covered. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
From the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys Studios.
Have you been in an accident? Call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Real Radio 92.1 is WZZR West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station.
Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's right. This is Florida Talk Real Estate, your number one information provider of all things real estate in South Florida. We're here to take your questions live on air, just like Bob. He's got an older roof and he's thinking about selling his house and moving someplace else, but he's not sure what to do. So if you have questions like that, just give us a call. Any kind of questions. If you got questions about refi, mortgages, home insurance, although we can't help you too much with that right now, unless you're talking about roofs. And if you have title issues, probate issues, mortgage problems that you're not having you can't make your mortgage payment, give us a call. We can help you with all of those things here at Florida Talk Real Estate, going on 13 years now. You know what? I just realized when I was driving over here, Jimothy and Mike, we are now the longest running non-commercially produced ZZR show on the station, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because the fishing show's no longer around, right?
Yeah. We have no other, other than the block programming.
Yeah. Are we the only one? We're the longest because we're the only.
We got legs. We're the only one, Jim.
Yeah, we're the only one. That makes it, but
will
that
never
makes
have
us
legs.
special. That makes us special.
You might even be the longest running show on 92.1.
No,
Locker room.
Well, the penthouse and
penthouse
about
and
the
locker
same
room.
time,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Locker room was on longer, and as far as locally produced, yes.
Yeah. Are the news junkies local? I know the guys from the acreage, right?
They're on the Real Radio 101 or 104.1 in Orlando.
Oh, but I didn't know he was from the acreage.
I think he grew up in the acreage, the main host there.
That's interesting.
Or Locks, one of those two.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, Central Florida. That's where they're located up there.
Okay.
Yep. Hey, I want to get into mortgage rates. Okay, so we have good things to talk about today. I wanted just to tell you, since we didn't have the show, we were preempted. On October 30th, we had an article that came out from bankrate.com, which is based here in Palm Beach County. And they were talking about interest rates and how high they were on October 30th. And they were weighing in about whether mortgage rates would go down or not. Right.
Okay.
Now we're 2 weeks later. Well, that's a good point. Yeah. 2 weeks later, mortgage rates plunged by a largest amount in a year. So that's a good thing. Yeah, right. Plunge.
That was the headlines.
I use the word plummet in our headline for our show. Plummet. Right?
Jimmy was so excited this week. He's calling me and texting me about rates, which he never does because we watch the same stuff, right? Like we watch the Freddie report week over week. We're watching the 10-year daily kind of, and Jimmy's calling. He's like, Mike, look at this. I'm seeing this and this, and I'm like, wow, I don't know. So there was definitely a lot of scuttlebutt, a lot of market analysis.
So that thing I sent
headlines.
The thing I sent you where the guy said that there was a 2-point drop in mortgage rates.
Right.
And I sent you that little screenshot. Could you make heads or tail as to why they were saying what they were saying?
I mean,
points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I still don't see that. So I'm not saying that we dropped 2 points.
Yeah, but and you
my coach did though.
He was talking about 1 point, 2 points.
He said we were down to 6.25.
You sent me something that I think said it was something like 6.25. 6.25, no points. Right. And on an FHA rate.
Yeah.
And so when I hear that, I know I'm not seeing those rates. And I said, well, I don't know, Jim. I don't know the source of that. And you sent me a screenshot. I couldn't tell what that was from. It looked like maybe some sort of pricing engine. I don't know. It's hard to I have people call me and say, "Hey, Mike, I see rates are this," and I said, "Well, where are you seeing that? And then how is it specific to you, as opposed to general?" And so what I told you, Jim, was like, I don't really see that type of movement, but let's see what Freddie says on Thursday, right? And so the proof is in. This is the metric that we use to determine what's happening in the market. And so what did we see with Freddie? We saw a drop. We saw the biggest drop since when?
I didn't catch that. Do you know the biggest? Because 0.26, that's what we dropped, guys. 0.26. That's a huge drop. That just to give perspective while Mike's looking it up. Every time the interest rate goes up a full point or down a full point, the buyer, if it goes down a full point, gains 10% of purchasing power. If it goes up a point, interest rate point, they lose 10%. So a quarter point drop is 2.5% of purchase power. They just grab 2.5% more purchase power that week.
Now, this isn't the Fed. This is just banks, right?
This is mortgage rate, not the Fed rate.
Right.
So this is the
Freddie Mac.
What we look at every week, every Thursday, and we don't say this is your rate.
Right.
We just say this is the trend. This is what's happening.
Okay.
So Freddie, every Thursday to Thursday, they do a survey of mortgages. I don't know how many's in the survey, but they say this was the average rate that was surveyed. And so last week it was 7.76. No. Yeah, 7.76, and this week it was 7.5. So it went down 0.26. So quarter point drop through their survey. Not a point, not 2 points.
Still pretty significant.
It was significant enough where people were excited about it.
Okay.
Shoppers, if they're locking in this past week, did better than they were doing the week before, did better than they did the week before that, but they're pretty much the same as if they were locking in the first week of October. A month ago.
Okay.
Right.
Exactly,
So we're basically back to where we were a month ago.
Mhm.
And I'm looking here, like, when was the last time we had a drop like that? So July 13th, 6.96. July 20th, one week later, 6.78. So not quite as big, but almost a quarter point there.
Okay.
0.2. Right. Last time there was a drop like that. That's probably the most recent, like almost a quarter point in 1 week.
Now, if the Fed didn't move anything, what makes that number change? Or is it too complicated to answer?
I don't think it's that complicated. The Fed basically did not raise rates, and people will take that and foment some sort of
I
future
feel like
casting.
I feel like there was a double whammy. The first was the Fed decided not to raise the rates. The second
and the
thing,
unemployment number.
the unemployment number came out where, job growth, I think, was, job growth and unemployment. So job growth was
way
only
below.
150, which was way below than they were thinking, 150,000.
okay.
And the unemployment went from 3.2 to 3.9, a 0.7%
Okay.
increase of
Wow.
unemployment. So those two things they felt was going to make the consumers spend less. So they felt like the future months we were going to see the consumers spend less, inflation would start coming down on its own, and that the Fed didn't do anything. So everybody got all excited. It's like, wow, the Fed didn't raise the rates, and we're still seeing cooling off of the economy.
Okay.
So
Right,
so the T-bills got lower because of that.
Right. So that if you're watching the 10-year Treasury bond, that one is much more like the mortgage rates daily will kind of follow that movement. So
Okay.
you would just watch the 10-year Treasury note and you'll see kind of what's going to happen daily. Like if the Treasury's
Interesting.
down on
All
the
right.
day, mortgage rates are probably slightly down on the day.
Mhm.
And so I think the general consensus, or it could be like this is what people get. There's some element of market excitement, right? Where they start saying, hey, this just happened. So now this means good news, right? And so if the question is the Fed going to continue to fight inflation, or are they satisfied and now we're going to hold steady, or did they go too far, Timothy, and now they're going to start pulling back, meaning they're going to lower their rate? They're like, oh,
Right.
we've done too much. That's really going to drive what happens with mortgage rates. Not that they're tied directly, but we follow that trend. And so when I hear people saying, well, rates are going to go down dramatically, and until the Fed is satisfied that they've overstepped, to me, it's like they're just going to hold. They're going to hold
Why
steady.
would they reduce it if they're worried about inflation? It doesn't make sense. If they're trying to stamp out inflation and we still have inflation higher than they want it to be, why would they drop?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if they don't reverse course, I'm not saying they're pausing.
Right.
That's fine. That's what I expect. Actually, they're going to
Mhm.
pause at some point.
Mhm.
When are they going to reverse course? Well, they're going to reverse course if they've overstepped and unemployment numbers, skyrocket. Right? They continue to go up, and the overall strength of the economy is weakening instead of holding.
Right. Then they might start dropping incrementally. I don't think any major drops unless it was something very dramatic like a COVID thing or something. But I think that we would see like quarter point drop,
Yeah.
once in a while just to keep things stabilized.
Okay. But we're still, I mean, we're right about normal range, correct? I mean,
The
from what
interest
we've
rate
done,
is
again,
40-year
talking,
normal.
Yeah.
40-year
Talking
normal.
the long haul.
Right now. I mean, but to be fair, I mean, I just looked at this, Jimothy, thanks. But I just looked, we'd have to go back to 2000 before you have 7.5. So
Right.
even though we're in the 40-year normal,
Right.
for 20 years, we haven't seen these rates. So
We've been-
everybody's in shock.
Yeah. We've been
Everybody's walking
abnormal.
around like a zombie.
Yeah. The new normal. The
Yeah.
new normal for a lot of people
Yeah.
was at 3% was the normal,
Yeah.
right?
And
As far
I'll
as
tell
the
you
Fed
what,
and-
if you talked to me, a year and a half ago, and we said something like, geez, I wish rates could hold somewhere between 6 and 7. Like back then, that would not have sounded good. Right now, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
And I think if you're an
sure.
active buyer and you've been in this market, that probably sounds pretty good. If we can hold somewhere between 6 and 7 for the duration,
Can you
sounds pretty
imagine
good.
can you imagine if tomorrow the rates drop to 6, just like even 6.99?
Yeah.
People would just go into frenzy because of the 6.
Mhm. Yep.
So that's what I wanted to talk about, Mike, okay? Because this is really important. We're seeing so much topsy-turviness in the mortgage market right now, right? They're going up, well, mostly going up, but we're seeing it go up and up and up. We've never had, there's never been, I've seen on this chart, where we've had the interest rates go up this fast, this long. Nothing, right?
Yeah.
The only thing close to it was the period of 19, well, no, I'm sorry. Just bear with me.
Yeah,
To
early-
about
early
1980
90s.
to 83.
Oh.
Well, actually 80 to 80,
Yeah.
81. There was a period where we had a dramatic increase in interest rate prices like today, but this is really unprecedented in the last 30 years or something. We've never seen anything like this. So everybody's going around. Now, here, I talk to hundreds and hundreds of people a week in our database. And so I almost do a survey every single week about what people are thinking about what's happening in the market as far as buyers and sellers. And one of the things, Mike, I noticed is there are so many buyers right now, and I'm sure that you see this all the time. No, I'm going to wait for the market to get better. And we've been hearing that for years. And I don't want to go into that story because that's such an old beat up story. All the realtors talk about that. But what I really want to talk about is getting prepared. So when the timing is right, that you're prepared. And that's what these buyers that I talk to that are not ready right now, they're not getting prepared, right? So they don't know what their credit score is. They don't know how much money they need to buy a house, right? They don't know what their down payment costs are going to be and what they need to save for. They don't know what their interest, they don't even know what their credit score needs to be to get a loan. How many people do I talk to say, I'm trying to build up my credit? They're going to be doing FHA financing anyway because they only could afford a low down payment. And they're at 640 and they're saying that they want to wait for their credit to get better. Well, if
Sure.
you're FHA at 620, am I correct about that? At 620, you get the same rate as 850.
Sure.
So what are you waiting for? Right? If you're waiting for your credit score to get better, if you're doing FHA financing, as long as you get the 620, you're good.
I think most people don't know what they're waiting for. And so they need to talk to somebody about who can help them set the target. Right. And I've said this a lot of times. I don't mind if you're waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You're waiting for something,
Exactly.
but as long as you know what you're waiting for,
Yeah, have a plan.
which is usually, I mean, I sound like a used car salesman when I talk about like this. You're usually waiting for a payment that you can afford,
Mm-hmm.
a payment that is comfortable for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not a purchase price, not a loan amount, not an interest rate, not an insurance number, but all of that combines to a payment. And can you get into a payment that's affordable? And if you are on the sidelines, you don't know when those stars are going to align. And so, to Jim's point, you have to, like, the best position you could be in right now is you are pre-approved. You know how much cash generally you're going to need. what payment you're comfortable with and what payment you qualify for.
You know that all your
And-
credit card debt is okay.
Yeah. And
all
you're
of
set
that.
up. Houses that are in your price point are being shown to you, like virtually at least. And you have a calculator that's reliable where you can go in and plug in numbers. Know your numbers.
And,
that
what-
doesn't mean
when-
you have to pick, you have to settle. That
Right.
just means you're ready. You have a target. You have the tools to calculate if that house is going to match your if it's going to meet all of your check boxes, it's going to meet your target numbers. And if that sucker shows up,
You got to be ready to pounce.
You're ready to go.
One more. I just want to add one more little tool of what you just mentioned. So you mentioned about knowing your numbers, having your calculator, having a search set up, even if you're not ready to buy that right
And being,
exact money,
being pre-approved.
and being pre-approved and prepared and ready to go and
Solid
knowing everything. But the fourth thing I would just say is, and this is something that you just taught me over the last couple of weeks, is that you're checking every Tuesday, and we're going to talk about that success story because we didn't talk about it last time.
Oh gosh.
And every Tuesday you're checking this one portal, and about down payment assistances. Jimmy, do you remember the Hometown Heroes
Right.
program?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that program ran out of money,
Right.
but
Was it
some
refunded?
some of the deals started falling apart, and Mike found a portal where some of that money goes back into the pool.
Okay, so if somebody qualified for it, got it, but it didn't end up going
Closing.
through or closing on the
That
deal,
money
that
goes
money
back.
goes back. Okay.
So, Mike, tell me about your success story. And one of the things, this is another reason why you have to be prepared to buy this way, our system. So tell the audience what happened.
Yeah, let's set up. So Hometown Heroes was traditionally it was down payment assistance program. So it's basically help with cash, right? It stays attached to the home. There's some caveats with it, but you don't have to repay it under normal circumstances. 0 interest, 0 payment. So it's great if cash is your
problem,
or even just like important to you, which usually it is. Even if you had enough cash, right? It's nice to get some help with the strings. But so the Hometown Heroes was traditionally for our kind of frontline workers, right? Police, fire, medical, military. And then last July,
they opened it up to everybody.
It opened it up to all first-time home buyers, right? Who lived and worked in Florida, right? So it was a really great initiative to like boost home ownership, the dream of home ownership here in Florida. And it was really popular. And they funded it with $100 million. And that got burned to around $10 million a week. So we had it for 3 months, a little bit less than 3 months before all the funds were reserved.
And you were reporting it. You were keeping an eye on it each week.
We talked about it, and we took
pushed
advantage
it so
of it. As
hard.
a matter of fact,
Yep.
the mortgage firm, the company I work for, was the #1 lender under
Really?
that program
Oh, that's awesome.
in Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
Which was we were all really proud of that.
Yeah.
Because we were in the know.
Yep.
We were ready to rock and roll. We were, a lot of us have been using Florida Housing, which is the organization that runs it, manages it, for the standard DPA. But this was it was good, and it was popular, right? Really good. People who didn't even need the cash were eligible for it, were taking advantage of it. So, but it ran out of funding. And so then that was kind of a letdown. It's like, oh, geez, we might have missed the boat on that. But the funds were reserved. They weren't purchased, right? They weren't closed and settled. So there was fallout. There was loans that were reserved that just were not going to close. And those cancel at some point, and then those funds go back into the pool. So what they did is, after the funds were basically exhausted, they say, okay, now every other Tuesday, and not everybody was paying attention to this, every other Tuesday, we're going to take whatever the fallout was, and they would come every Tuesday and say, hey, we got 1.2 million available. And so that would get snapped up, right? Like they'll but if you're Tuesday, 10 o'clock, if you're ready, you could get a reservation.
Okay.
And so I was able to do that several times with people who maybe we were thinking just the regular 10,000 DPA. And of course, Hometown Heroes was advantageous because it was 5% of your loan amount. So if you did a $300,000 loan, you could get $15,000 of DPA, right? If you're doing 350, it's a nice portion of what was required as far as cash.
I think they gave you up to 35,000.
Up to 35,000. It was very hard to get up to 35 because of the loan limits and the income limits. But it's a big help for a lot of people. And so every other Tuesday, I would have my eye on it, and I would have, here's my buyers that we want to get them in. And sometimes I was switching from one program to the next. Sometimes I was waiting to reserve because I was confident funds were going to be available. So I've been on top of that, and I've had success. And every other Tuesday, except with the exception of one, I think they have had
You've had somebody fall into
some
place?
some level of funding available.
Okay, and this is a big deal, guys. One of the customers Mike told me about was going to get $10,000 from this different down payment assistance program. The max you get is 10. Everybody just gets 10 in that program, right?
Yeah.
But Mike was able to switch that person out into the
Hometown Heroes.
the Hometown Heroes pool when their money came back, and I think they went from 10,000 to 17,000.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
Right.
big
So it
difference.
almost doubled the amount of money they could get. Now Mike didn't have to do that. Mike had them qualified at. I'm not Mike. I
Sure.
wouldn't expect, but a lot of mortgage brokers, that deal's done, right? It's tidied up.
Yep.
You know, they're ready to go. They
Yeah.
can fund it at the
I'm not gonna look
10,000.
at
I don't have to
anymore.
do
We're
anymore,
done.
right?
We've
I'm
got
going
this
on to
going.
my next person, not Mike. Mike goes out there and tries to get you the best deal he can get you. And that's the difference. That's why Mike's sitting in the chair. He's sitting. We're so blessed on this station to have him here, giving the advice he does.
And to be fair, I probably didn't tell them that I was doing it. It's nice. It's nice because I don't want to like.
Oh, in
say,
case they don't
"Hey,
get it.
we
In
might
case they
have
don't get
this,"
it.
and then they get
Yeah.
their hopes up. But it's a nice call to make. It's like, hey guys,
The better way to do it.
yeah,
though.
we're able to do this.
But it's
So-
the fact that you do it. I mean, that's
True.
Exactly. That he
the
even
important part,
tries. Because
yeah.
even if he didn't get it, at least he tried and he exhausted all the avenues for the customer.
Staying on top of it, knowing or researching and finding out that, oh wow, okay, it's been depleted, but they're putting some of that
Sure.
money's going back. Does everybody do that? Do they all go back and look at it? Probably not.
I mean, you have
That's what Mike does.
some lenders who aren't even able to do it. They haven't taken the class required, right? Like it's pretty straightforward to get certified and know what you're doing in there.
So
Some
put-
lenders who have done it, who are certified, but they're not comfortable with it. So it's yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that can be done and should be done with the right person. But I was going to say, so Hometown Heroes, big news came out this Monday.
Did they?
Past
Because
Monday.
the legislature came out and I didn't read the news.
I think you're
I
about
don't-
to answer my next question.
I don't know where the money came from, but they pumped in $36 million.
Did they? Because
Okay,
they
there you go.
were supposed to
gonna be
meet
my
a
next-
week ago Monday, if I'm not mistaken. I just read yesterday that the legislature had a special session for the insurance and for something else.
Oh, I didn't know if it came from the legislature. Or
But
was
they
their
said
own-
they were gonna bring in the Hometown Heroes
Okay.
as a possibility. So maybe
Okay.
that's where the money came from.
I'll tell you what, it was so successful.
Yeah.
I don't think they realized how quickly the money was going to get gobbled
Yeah.
up because they just didn't. I guess they didn't realize how many first-time home buyers.
It was
we
the
got
home.
here out
It
there.
was the home. My safe home
Oh.
hardening program. That's
Okay.
what they were going back for, and they were going to try to bring that in too. So
Okay.
I guess they did. I think they
Okay.
did, which is awesome.
What do they call that when they slip in something to legislation that shouldn't be there?
Pork.
Oh,
Pork fat,
pork. Yeah,
belly, pork.
yeah.
Okay,
pork.
something like that. There's some term for
Just
it. yeah.
pork. I think it's
Yes,
pork.
They just
Yeah.
call it
Okay.
pork, yeah. But,
Now-
but it's usually for frivolous things that
Yeah, this
don't
was
really
a
have
good
a lot of meaning. Getting money for a study on beetles,
Yeah.
or
They
something,
were the
or a
best.
bridge for somebody particular.
No, so it's 36 million. I think it's probably going to go just about as fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably 10 million a week, give or take. But because of the way that the reservations and then the fallout from those, and this goes to shows like what's our fallout on loans that we get into contract on? Like this is almost zero. Almost
I
zero.
don't know of
But
anybody.
in this business, there are loans that just don't close, and you're not supposed to reserve. You really can't reserve until you're in contract. So these are contracts that didn't close. Now that could be because of inspection issues. It could be because of appraisal, various things, or it could simply be that the typical lender talks to you on the phone, has you plug in some information online, you spit them out a generic pre-approval. Jim, you're good for 450,000. Go, and I'll cross your fingers that it all works out. in the end,
Instead of
right?
Mike's cashier's check
Yes,
approval, you
yes.
get toilet paper approval.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Not in all cases.
Worth the paper it's worth.
Listen,
Right,
a lot of times
exactly.
it works out just fine, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to be the one where it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
pain. It's
too
heartache
much.
and pain. So because of I feel comfortable that there will be limited opportunities for people probably through the rest of the year. Well, definitely through the rest of the year, but through the rest of this cycle through June, July, where there will be opportunities for people to take advantage of Hometown Heroes. if you're paying attention to it and you're working with an LO who knows how to pay attention to it.
So here's my advice on the realtor side, the bigger picture side of everything for buyers. Look, if you're thinking about buying in 2024 or even later this year, you got to have a plan. This market is totally crazy for buyers. If you don't have a plan, you're going to get, it's almost like getting churned up in the surf and you can't defend yourself and you're just getting beat up in the surf in the ocean or something like that. You got to have the plan and you got to know how to win your way through that. And the way you do that is know your numbers backwards, forwards, sideways, know exactly what you could do on that level. Make sure that you know what is out there based on your criteria, based on those numbers. Are you looking for a unicorn or are you looking for something that's doable? You also have to keep in mind that if you want down payment assistance, and some people Mike is using down payment assistance for some people, not for the down payment assistance, for the interest rate
Sure.
discount.
Yeah.
What Mike learned was some of these down payment assistance programs have slightly less interest rates, lower interest rates than traditional. So sometimes using just for that purpose, right? Free money and a lower interest rate. How can you beat
Even
it?
better.
But you need to know all that stuff. And you got to know when the down payment assistance stuff is available if you're looking for it, right? And I don't know how you could not want that down payment assistance in today's market. So all of those things, you have to have all that lined up and then set yourself up on a live search so that you know what's out there and you can see as the market's changing and looking for your house. And the other thing I recommend is the same thing Mike says. Be totally prepared. Even if you're thinking, "Oh, I'm not going to buy something until March." Well, if something pops up in January and it's like perfect and you've been looking for 2 or 3 months and it's the perfect property and you could finance it and afford it and do it, you might want to change your timeline and pull the trigger in January than March and get what you can get at the time. And I expect that these interest rates, they're not going to be stable. I don't think these interest rates, I think we're going to see a lot of up and down, up and down. We saw that last year. We went through this last year, guys. How many times, Mike, did we say interest rates increase for 3 weeks in a row or 4 weeks in a row? And then we hear 3 weeks down, 4 weeks down, 5 weeks down. Then it goes up again. Last year, we had that whole topsy-turvy, up, down, up, down.
Yeah, it's like gas prices.
Yeah, I think it's going to be just as erratic next year. So you really got to get in there and get
We had another
ready.
little success story as far as interest rates and just kind of like being in the market. So I had somebody in contract, a mutual client of ours, Chris,
Mhm.
who locked in 2 weeks ago,
Right.
and rates have come down since then. And
Mm.
so, yes, the mortgage firm does have what's called a float down policy, and most lenders will have it some level. Like if rates get better, even though you're locked in, can you take advantage?
I was
of
going to
it?
ask you that.
And
So you can.
there's restrictions on when you can do it. Like I can't just do it. I have to be X amount of days before our close date. And so it turns out we were right in the window yesterday. I was able to float Chris down, and we got 0.375 better
Wow.
on his rates. No cost change or anything like that. So just because of the change of the market and he met the criteria for the float down, we're able to save him over a quarter point because we're paying attention. Now, Chris did prompt me. He emailed me. He's like, "Hey, Mike, can we take advantage of this?" And I said, I was going to look at this for you anyway once we got in the window. But yeah, and so just another one. You're on top of your stuff.
Chris is such a big Miami Dolphins fan. He flew to Germany.
Oh,
did he
Yeah,
really?
he just came
Wow.
back
How
from
about that?
Germany. He's a big Miami Dolphins fan, Chris. And
Oh, I
shout
didn't-
out to Chris.
That's awesome.
Congratulations to Chris. We're closing on his house, I think, next Tuesday in Hallandale. We sold his house in Hallandale. I think we got full list, and then we had to give back a little bit for some what do you call those? The
Inspection
type of
items?
pipes. Yeah, what kind of the drain
Cast
pipes,
iron?
cast iron. Thanks.
Oh.
The cast iron pipes on the house. We had to give a credit for that. But he did very well on his house, did very, very well. And then we helped him buy a new home that he'll be closing on, I think, next week, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 weeks from now.
Excellent.
Yeah, he also had an appraisal that was 20,000 above his purchase price. Oh, well,
I don't want the other agent to know that right now.
Oh.
I'm joking.
Are they a listener?
No, Chris. Yeah, Chris did very well. The house came in. We negotiated on the house. It was a little tough negotiation. He ended up getting an appraisal. The house came in significantly higher
Yeah.
than the appraisal, which was really
It
good.
doesn't make a difference, but it's nice to know you got some instant equity. just thinking about it. It's a
Just
nice,
in
nice
today's
mental
market,
feeling.
today's
Sure.
market, it's nice.
Can I jump?
Got a good deal.
Can I jump back to the down payment assistance programs there for a minute? Now, a lot of times we've been talking about the hometown heroes. There's a couple of others too that you've mentioned in the past. Is it only ever for first-time home buyers, or are there other down payment assistance programs for people that have?
So
it's not their first home.
Yeah, the ones through Florida Housing, which are the best and the ones that I utilize the most, are for first-time home buyers. Now, first-time home buyer, Jimothy, means in their rule, you haven't been on title to a principal residence, so a home that you lived in the last 3 years.
Okay.
Right. So right now, you're not a first-time home buyer. I had an example where
so like if I've sold a house and rented for 5 years,
yeah,
you're considered
You're a first-time home buyer
again.
That's right.
3 years
Yeah,
or
it's 3 years.
3 years.
And normally it doesn't even matter. Like some people think FHA is for first-time home buyers only, and the 3-year rule meaning that's the criteria. But you can do an FHA loan one after the other.
Can you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any unusual part about it, or just very straightforward?
No, just very
Why
straightforward.
does everybody feel like that? Even I
don't-
felt like that.
I think it probably at some point in the past it was like that,
was
but it's
like that?
never been that way since I've been in this business.
I didn't know that. That's
So
weird.
really, the first-time home buyer status is usually only related to these sort of grants and down payment assistance.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Are there any out there that aren't? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Probably not.
Okay. All right.
Probably not.
Just curious.
Yeah, because it's meant to. I don't know. I guess it's limited funds, so you have to limit the pool somehow, and so first-time home buyer is a good
Oh yeah, well,
barometer.
and that's what it's meant for. It's meant
Yeah.
to get people into a home for the first.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that point. That's why I just didn't know if there was anything else out there
Yeah.
or any other sort of programs. I just more a curiosity than anything.
Yeah, there might be. I don't know. Not the ones that I could think of though.
I want to switch gears here about the silver surge and talk about what might happen in the future. There was this woman, Meredith Whitney, who had predicted one of the people that predicted the 2008 financial crisis, and now she's predicting that the housing market is going to go through a big change next year of what we've been experiencing over the last couple of years. And what they think is going to happen is we're going to have increased inventory by a lot. That's what she's thinking.
Was it how solid was her prediction of the housing market crash?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just reading the article, and
Okay.
I don't always agree with all these talking heads because, like, I don't agree with Jamie Dimon a lot from Chase or City or whatever. I always forget it's Chase or City. He probably
we were
thinking I'm a
making
moron.
we were making a joke about someone sometimes. She was like, "This person was great at predicting things after they'd happened."
Yeah,
They're really
yeah,
good,
exactly.
really good at predicting. 100%.
Well,
How about that?
well, this is what I learned from this article. There were two really important things I learned from the article, though, whether I agreed or disagreed overall. Okay, so the Association of AARP, what is the Association of American Retired People or something or whatever. That group is saying that we have the largest segment of people about ready to downsize than we've had in a very, very, very long time. And they think that this group that's 50 and over, the people that are 50 and over in the United States right now control 70% of the U.S. homes. Okay, so 70% of the homes owned in the United States are by people 50 or older. And they're saying because it's pretty high, so it's pretty lopsided right now.
Okay.
And what happens when people get to like 50, in their 50s to 60s, they usually have the most income out of any age bracket at the time. And then they usually at 50 to 60, that's when they start downsizing and reconfiguring their lives. So they're
thinking about
expecting that,
retirement.
right? So they're expecting that to happen. This woman Meredith Whitney is expecting that to happen now, and she's predicting that we're going to get a silver tsunami or a silver surge, where all these retirees are going to be shifting around their lifestyles and changing housing, and that's going to open up a lot of inventory.
Silver shift.
So they're thinking that that's going to bring the prices to go down. This is where I don't agree with her, because she says I expect the prices to start falling in late 2024. That's when she expects prices to start going down.
because of inventory.
because they think the inventory is going to go up. But the problem that I see with
Wait,
that is
what year did she say? Late what?
late 2024, next year, just
Okay.
about this
About a
time
year
next
from
year,
now,
right?
okay.
From now, right? She says we're going to start seeing prices drop. I'm okay with that if that happens. I'm going to be honest with you, but I don't think it's going to happen that way because here's the problem. As soon as the inventory starts, even a little bit, even if we get a little bit extra inventory, if the interest rates, if we see a quarter point drop like this week, like we are right now, and we have a little bit extra inventory, that's going to make the prices go up because everybody's going to jump into the market, right? We still won't have enough houses because there's more people coming in because the interest rates are lower. And then we're going to have the same problem. I don't see, we'd have to have a massive amount of houses come on the market in order to cure this inventory problem. And I just don't see it.
Might be interesting to look at, like you said, that 70% number. What is it here in the 6 counties? Like, is there any way to find
Yeah.
out what's the average age of the homeowner in the counties that we're concerned with? Because that's going to be a very local thing.
Well,
At
actually,
our
we're
level.
seeing it all over. Like Muriel, we mentioned Muriel just recently. Muriel's the perfect example. She's
Downsizing,
she's
relocating.
relocating, and I'm seeing so many people like that. Mike, look at Bob. Even he's thinking of downsizing, and even staying in the area just to change the lifestyle up. He might be in that silver surge part of thing. I don't know his age.
We
but-
saw some sort of surge in the COVID years of people who were downsizing from up north and relocating down here.
And we're
So-
seeing that in Florida right now with the migration. We have a lot of people moving to Florida and a lot of people moving out, right? People don't want to talk about the moving out. There's nothing wrong with talking about the people moving out because it's a fact. We lost over 250,000 people here in Florida over the last year of people moving out of the area, 276,000. But we had more people than 276,000 come in. So we're net
Right.
positive. But I don't think we've had this big of a migration out of Florida in a long time. Now, the other thing I found fascinating on this article, it was from Yahoo Finance, if you want to look it up, Meredith Whitney prediction. They showed you our U.S. pending home sales for today compared to the last 20 years. Oh my gosh, when I saw this, it was staggering. We are at the lowest amount of home sales. We're equal to March of 2020, which is when COVID
COVID hit,
completely
right.
shut down, where everybody was just stuck in their house and nobody was doing anything. And so nobody was selling. I remember
Lenders
selling
shut down.
houses. Yeah, I remember going to, I'll never forget, I was cooped up in my house. I stayed in a bedroom and all I did was make phone calls all day long because you really didn't want to leave your house at the time, right? And I was making phone calls and there were so many people home. I got everybody that you called because everybody was home. And I got a lot of business out of that because there were a lot of people that were getting ready for that big jockeying moment, and then it worked. But I cannot believe that we're right now at the same home sales. Now, this is national, not statewide, but we're at the same home sale levels as March 2020. That's amazing to me. And there's no part of this chart for the last 25 years that is even close to the low amount of sales we have right now. I mean,
You're
even
talking
in
about the number of units that are
pending each
under
month,
contract.
right? Under contract, and it's just very, very low right now because the interest rates are high and we don't have enough inventory, and that's the two reasons. Buyers are getting squeezed on both ends. I
So
don't
less
know what it's going
buyers,
to take.
less homes for sale equals less deals.
Yeah. So now people are still out there buying and selling. Thank God Mike just said that you've kind of gotten back to a normal level right now.
I feel, my personal production, I
Mhm.
feel like I'm in 2018, 2019 numbers, which I consider normal purchase business.
normal
No
numbers.
refis, none to speak of.
And
People like Jimothy are doing their part, right? He had 2 deals within a matter of, a month, right?
Right.
Yeah,
2 deals.
and
So
that's what's happening to the Florida Home Pros, my team, with Keller Williams Innovations. I'm doing the same productivity as I did last year and the year before, even though that we've had all these changes in the market.
Yeah.
It's because, and the reason why I think that is, even though that there's less deals out there, the ones that know what they're doing, people gravitate to us.
I was going to say, and I think we said this off. There's a lot of agents, a lot of people in the loan business who aren't doing as well as they were. to the point where they're having to do something else.
There's
so
a lot
you're
of people
weeding
leaving
out-
the industry.
Yeah, and maybe they were part-time in the first place, but they were able to leverage that into a full-time type of thing, but they really didn't have the chops or the skill set or whatever to sustain it in this type of market. So yeah, you're left with professionals who are still successful, still doing it because they know what they're doing.
Yeah, there's it's just been very, very crazy, and there's a lot of nervousness out there in the realtor world. I don't want to get into this right now because I don't understand it all, but there have been some big antitrust cases about who pays what commissions, and there's 2 states right now that have basically allowed sellers to offer no commission to the buyer side and no obligations to offer a commission to the buyer side as a seller, if
Geez,
they
we could
don't
do a
want
whole
to.
show on that.
Yeah, which there's so much going on in that I can't even discuss it in a real detailed manner because I just don't know enough. And when I read it, I just don't feel the people that are writing know enough about it either. They
Right,
don't
okay,
know, and it's like you can't even understand what's going on sometimes. So I'm like, I'm just going to leave that alone right now.
The information
It's
just
such a-
isn't quite reliable at this point.
Well, it's
It
just
is.
such a sticky topic. You never know if there's an angle to whoever's talking about it. And usually people will have an angle, right? They have some sort of viewpoint that they think is right. And so it's going to be hard to get an independent assessment.
It has been very big news in the real estate industry, even though it hasn't really made big news nationally. Gary Keller was at trial and testified, I think, for a day and a half. Gary Keller is the owner of Keller Williams.
Yeah.
And he testified a day and a half fighting this antitrust lawsuit, saying it wasn't right that
And the reasons.
and the reasons why. But, there's hundreds of millions of dollars in fines that have already been settled that people have agreed to pay. Remax, Redfin, Berkshire Hathaway, Corcoran, they all caved in to the antitrust lawsuit, and there's hundreds of $1 million being owed to people right now. And it's funny because the attorneys are going to get 30% of it, and then everybody's going to get $700.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
You know what I mean?
$7.
Yeah, $7,
$7, right?
Right. You're part of the
So,
class.
but
You know
it's-
what? You know what's funny, Jim, is shoot, I was just thinking something. Now I lost it. It was good too. All right, I'll think about it.
Yeah, if it comes back, I'm going to switch gears here. One thing I wanted to say. Today is Veterans Day, and I
Yes.
didn't get to say something
Johnny,
about
if
that.
Johnny were here, he would have.
I had a whole thing set up for Johnny. I had all these factoids and stuff because I know it's so important to Johnny and important to me too, and I'm sure Mike.
All of us, yeah.
We all had people that served in our family.
Not used to it on,
So-
on a weekend.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
different.
So today is Veterans Day, and I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody that served. I did not, so I give you a lot of credit and appreciate you more than you know that you're out there. And
I just thought about your dad, Jim. Are you thinking about it too?
I know.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And so Veterans Day, I didn't know this though. Veterans Day was originally Armistice Day. Did you guys know this? I didn't. I know Jimothy knew it, and I know Johnny knows it. But Armistice Day, which actually was several months before World War I ended, there actually was an armistice where nobody fired a shot anymore. And then several months later is when we actually ended the war. So they made this day, November 11th, to be, or the fourth, what is it? The fourth Saturday?
Well, it's
November 11th.
actually the November 11th.
It's always
and
November 11th.
Then there was a time frame. I think it was Ford that brought it back, but there was a time frame where they made it like the fourth Monday of the month
Oh,
or
that's
something.
it, yeah.
Now we're back to it officially being recognized always on November 11th.
November
I-
11th.
I think President Ford did that, if I recall correctly. I think in somewhere in the 50s too is when it changed to Veterans Day over Armistice Day, as you say, to recognize all wars and all military personnel.
Yes, exactly. So this is for our veterans, everybody that served, whether they served in war or not war, just their service. So thank you for your service. You
Yes.
don't know how much we appreciate it here, and we love working with vets. Right,
Absolutely.
Mike is an expert on veteran loans. If you have any questions about that, we love to work with you. And thank you for your service and your family
Yeah, no.
service too. People forget that the family has a lot of sacrifices too.
Big time.
Absolutely.
Well, I also wanted to throw out, we got a little bit more time. Mike, have you thought about it yet?
No, I
You
was.
popped in?
It's maybe it wasn't a fully thought out, but I was thinking there was another industry when I was thinking about where the one side of it essentially compensates the professionals, and made sense in that industry, similar to how it makes sense in real estate. But I'll think about it. Maybe talk about it when we bring up that
We do
topic
it
in
when
depth.
it comes out.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk, I always like the creepy critters in Florida. I've always reading this stuff about all the crazy stuff that's coming into our area. Now there's a
What do we
new
got?
thing, the large invasive Joro spiders. They're
Oh.
supposedly these gigantic, like hand-sized spiders that really weave these. I know, right? They weave these really elaborate webs, right? More so than regular spiders, and they are poisonous, but they usually don't attack animals or people. But they're starting to come into the eastern United States, and they think they're going to be pretty hard here in Florida. And I was thinking about you, Mike, since you live out in the boonies.
Yeah.
I'm not really the boonies, but you're all that scrub cabbage stuff you have, like the cabbage palms and everything around you. They're going to be all filled with these spider
they?
webs. Yeah, so you're going to have to figure out something to do.
What do
about
they
that.
eat? They eat bugs?
I don't know. It didn't say in here what they eat.
They must. If they do a web, then they're
Didn't
trapping
say.
insects, and I'll let them be.
They're
That
pretty
sounds good to me.
They're pretty darn big though. Their legs are super long and um they're, like I said, they're the size of the hand or larger. So
Are
watch
they
out for the
nutritious?
Juro spiders. Yeah, right. Well, at least you can eat the iguanas, right?
I'll eat. Worst case, I'll figure out whatever's in my yard that's edible. We'll eat them, cook them up, smoke 'em.
Barbecue at Mike's.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, just to wrap up with the migration stuff. Last week or the week before, did we have the show last week? I always forget. It's
We
last
didn't.
week, the week we had
No,
off,
last
right?
week the
So the
Gators
week
were
you were
on.
gone, Mike, we were talking about the migration out of Florida, which is I call one of the, quiet secrets
You should come up
in
with a
Florida
name for it.
about the migration out.
Yeah, like the flagration or the
Yeah,
exudation.
Yeah, I'm thinking of. I wanted to come up with I came up with a new website that I always try to come up with website ideas. Like I
What?
want one time. Oh, by the way, we're putting out a call to all business owners that are listening to the show and in our database. We're reaching out to you because we're going to start doing some stuff where we want to support small businesses together as a group. And I wanted to call and I also want to be able to refer people out with reputable businesses in case they call, that we have a database of people that we can refer out to. And when I say refer out, not that I'm making a referral fee. I
Just a
just want to,
trusted source.
trusted
Yeah.
people to help
Mhm.
people out. And I wanted to I came up with the website for that. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect website. I got a guy, right?
Oh.
That's what I wanted to do. I got a guy.com
Mm-hmm.
taken.
Yeah, you should
bad.
try and find a general,
So now
a
I'm-
gender neutral version of that.
Well, I was trying that too. I was trying to got a girl. I was trying to got a person. Got a person doesn't sound the same.
Did you
I
try?
got a person.
I got a they.
No, I didn't do the pronoun thing.
Yeah, I got a them.
I don't even want to get a pronouns. I don't even understand any of that
No,
stuff.
but
I've stayed so away from
listen,
that.
the future, Jim. You need to embrace it. I came up with a website idea
What's that?
because this Halloween I went to a dress up thing for a business group, and I
Mhm.
went as, and this is like super inventive. I went as the Lone Ranger,
Mm-hmm.
right? White hat,
I love it.
white hat, right? But I'm the Lone Ranger.
Lone.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't get it
Ranger.
right
Yeah.
away. I didn't get it right away. Oh, that's pretty good.
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
I would introduce myself. I'm like,
Jimmy
I'm the
got it
Lone
right away.
Ranger.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do mortgages, right?
That's awesome.
that's pretty good. I like
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah, you got a gun holster with pens or pencils or something. Right,
So I went to GoDaddy. I'm like, when is this available? So .com isn't available, but .co or something like
Oh,
that.
you
is
could do
available.
loneranger.co.
And then one of my a real estate friend said, "What about the Lone Arranger? The Lone Arranger."
Oh,
All right.
Ranger,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
So
Yeah.
I think that one might have been taken too. But
That's pretty
I
cool.
just don't know if I want to be like that character, right? Like I'm the Lone Arranger.
Mhm.
Well,
I thought it was a pretty cool Halloween idea.
that is
The
pretty
Lone
good. I like
Ranger.
that one. So, that guy, that politician from North Florida, Matt Gaetz, he came out last week, bemoaning the fact that so many people are leaving Florida. He's personally insulted.
Oh,
He
yeah?
says he doesn't understand why people are leaving.
Doesn't he live most of the time in DC?
I don't know. I try to stay out of the politics thing. But he is saying that
I don't know.
that he's very disappointed that he's surprised at the amount of people leaving Florida right now, and he wants to fix it. And he thinks that the biggest problem about affordability is homeowners insurance. This is his plan. I don't like this plan at all, but this is his plan. State-backed reinsurance. Okay, so reinsurance, just for regular people, because I didn't know this until I was a newspaper reporter, and I learned it by covering city government, that there are insurance agencies that insure insurance agencies. It's
Right.
called reinsurance. And
Mhm.
really, they're the big dogs.
Right.
Regular insurance companies are just little pups compared to these big, gigantic corporations behind that are backing everything, and they kind of pull the strings.
Yeah, I learned that too here. How,
Yep,
recently
we already
and,
have gone. We already
Ross.
went through all
Mhm.
this, but now the idea. Can you imagine Florida backing every house or every property in Florida with reinsurance? If something goes wrong, and are we going to calculate everything correctly the way that regular reinsurance companies do? They've been doing it for 100 years. I just am so nervous
who are
about that.
also for-profit private businesses that like it's really critical that they're profitable, and so
I
their
see what you mean.
rates
You're
are
right.
based
So
like like
they're realistic.
there's a
meaning-
lot, and they're probably super sharp in the investment world, and they got their hands in. They got a lot of versatility in their portfolio. Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't. It doesn't strike me as an idea that would come from a conservative,
Very true.
small
Yeah.
government.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
seems
can't
like
get
a weird.
Yeah,
Angle.
that is a big government move, but it just shows you how Florida we're such a tough situation here. It's just so tough. Hey, let me see.
We got to do something. I don't mind. Let's get ideas out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we need ideas. on
Almost.
insurance.
So it almost sounds like his idea is on a state idea of like a federal deposit insurance for banks, right? So where they're like the government is just backing.
No, but they have to be able to
The
generate.
insurance
They have to
companies.
generate money in order to cover big disasters. They have to.
Right.
But maybe
Well-
the idea is like we can do this. This is our only focus. We can like super slim margins, but enough, and we can do it better and cheaper than these international conglomerates. Maybe there's something to it.
Government does fund itself very well through taxes.
Well, Jimothy, are we going to have a show next week?
Yes, we are.
We are having a
Yep,
show next
yep.
week.
We
So
will definitely guarantee to have a show next week.
know the show, put it to bed. This is Florida Talk Real Estate. If you have any questions, we are live 24/7. All you got to do is call 888-973-7828. Go to floridatalkrealestate.com, Facebook, YouTube, or just regular internet, and you can find all the different ways to contact us. We'll answer any of your questions that you have, and if we don't know the answers, we're going to get them for you for free. So give us a call.
All right. Have a good day, gang. Coming up, we got the locker room on the other side of this short break. We're going to talk a little bit of sports that's going on. We love our NFL. Thanks a lot, Mike. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jimothy.
Jim,
Thank
you
you,
have
guys.
a great day as
You
well.
too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. Locker room coming up next on Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7 on the Treasure Coast.